Hello, guys. Welcome back to Conifera. Today's episode might be a bit of a shorter one. This episode, because it won't be long before I'll be boarding the plane and going to New York City, where I'll be staying with my girlfriend in Midtown for a week. Really looking forward to that trip. I think most people with a bit of an interest in urban planning and the histories of cities would probably like to go to New York at least once, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I've already warned my girlfriend that I'm probably gonna be spending an obscene amount of time just looking up and being completely mesmerized by some of the beautiful old architecture and of course the extreme density in Midtown and in Lower Manhattan in particular. So a shorter episode likely, and it's going to be interesting to see if I can actually make this episode available and finish it even before the trip, or if it's going to be something I'll do afterwards, because I'm a bit pressured for time. So yeah, I'll try and see if I can post this before the trip, but that might not be possible. Shorter episode, just a little recap of the previous episode. I have a vote currently on our community page about the future of this empty lot here in downtown Port Douglas. And as you guys can see on the screen, I guess the vote is sort of already settled. At least it would require quite a bit of momentum to change the overall opinion, and it seems you guys honored non-corrupt, of course, members of the Port Douglas City Council have agreed to kind of do away with height restrictions and allow for some taller buildings on this very spot. And I guess I can only assume that the reasoning some of you guys have is that Port Douglas is now in a bit of a competition with the other major city of our region over here, which is, of course, Pine Harbor. A competition to reach the skies. Now, generally, as you guys can see, the overall density and the amount of high-rises is of course much lower here in Pine Harbor, but with the recent construction of this pretty tall and pretty bulky mixed-use slash shopping center plaza, Pine Harbor has kind of checked in to the race to the race to the skies, if you could say. So I guess the response from Port Douglas is to do away with some of the current height restrictions that you can kind of see it in play here from the coastline here in Pine Harbor. You can actually see that there's sort of a limit somewhere around this 70 to 75 meters mark. I'm not quite sure what that is in feet. I'll try to see if I can remember to post that on the screen. Otherwise, you can convert it, I'm sure. But it seems that you guys have agreed that we're gonna do away with that. Now, I have read a ton of comments on the previous episode and seen some of the nice suggestions, so I really appreciate that. Keep them coming, and yeah, we'll develop this lots in a future episode, I think. For this particular episode, I've been wanting to kind of create sort of a promenade or beach area here. The shores of Port Douglas are really empty currently, which is a bit of a shame. So I think we're gonna start with some development here, just kind of detailing it up and making some boardwalks and maybe a kiosk or some small amenities of a sort. This, like everything else we build in this region, it might not be the permanent design. We can always reiterate and expand it or change it. So it's basically just to get something going here, because it looks a bit odd and a bit empty, really. All right, so for this this main stretch of the shoreline here, I'd like to kind of have a key that sort of separates an upper tier from a lower tier, and I'm not quite sure on if it's gonna be a big beach just yet, or if it's gonna be a little more steep and maybe a bit more rocky. But I think the first step is basically, or definitely, finding the key that we'll need. Let's see, there you go. So let's see what we've got to work with. I'm thinking these are sort of the ones I'd like to use. I really like the look of these. So if we can let's just draw something out, and then we'll get like a general idea of whether that's the direction we want to go. So I'll just try to align it. And we'll make it a bit bendy here. Something like that for starters. And it looks pretty good. I think one thing I kind of dislike is the thickness of this bad boy. So I'm just gonna use node controller to reduce it to, I guess 60% is good fit. Makes it a lot less bulky. There you go. Oops. Cool. So I think that looks pretty nice. One thing I could do is just grab the nodes here. Okay, I'm grabbing the segments as well, but that's okay. And then aligning the height to, oh, that's wrong. Control H to align the height to this node here. Did that do something? I don't think it did. Let's just try again. We'll see. To object height. Oh, it is actually perfectly aligned. Very nice. So let's see. I'd like maybe sort of a beach area over here, and then here we can have a bit of a more. No, actually, we need some beach here as well. Otherwise, the stairs actually don't really make sense. So I guess something we could do is we could extend this with with some of these that don't have actual stairs. So I'll just see if I can grab this piece and see how that aligns, and it works really well, I think. So let's just do that for now. We'll as always, we're just gonna try it out here and just do a little manual aligning, seeing how it all shapes up. Because I'm thinking that over here then we could have sort of a little inlet, or maybe we should actually do it the other way around. Yeah, just give me a second. If we grab this piece here, we can upgrade this, and then we can grab this type of seawall without the stairs, the one we had here before, and we can upgrade over here, and then I think that's gonna be a better fit. Because then we have sort of a bit of a small bay here, where I think it makes sense to have a beach area. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this height here, and then I'm gonna try and lower this, and hopefully I can avoid major flooding, but that's not always the case. We'll see how this looks. It looks quite nice. And then I'm just gonna first I'm gonna make these a little slimmer. So I think this actually looks pretty good. We can maybe just push our luck a little more here. Just push it up a little closer. Let's see how much beach area we've got. So I think we could expand our beach here just a bit. All right, this is quite nice, I think. Let's just smooth out this section, and we'll just expand upon this a bit. Very close to a bit of flooding here, but seems like we're in the clear. All right, so I'd like to just see if I can lower this just a bit. So if I can grab, let's see if I can grab this height here. I'd like to have a bit more of the stairs visible here. So I think they look really good. And over here as well. Very cool. And then over here I want to transition to a more steep coastline to kind of showcase that this bay, this inlet basically, it ends over here. Let's just see if we can fix this. We can. There you go. And we'll of course do that by just grabbing this height and then drawing this in. Let's see how that works. For now this is fine. I'm just gonna check the height, because it seems like it takes a bit of a dip here, and that's okay, but I don't want it to be too low, so I'll just align to this height, brings it up a bit. Cool. And would make sense to have some parking here, then you can have some amenities as well. And you might even have room for parking alongside the shoreline here. Alright, so I've just added some walkways here, which I've slimmed down with Node Controller to about 80%. As you guys will probably know by now, I'm quite a fan of using this park walkway that's part of one of the DLCs, primarily because it sort of fits the theme throughout the Coniferia region. We're using a lot of, red or Bordeaux colored tiles and stones and markings throughout the region, so it's sort of a theme by now. By the way, if my voice sounds a little different and some of the color settings look a little different compared to the previous clip, it's because I'm recording this after New York. So I guess the conclusion is that I did manage to put this episode out before New York. But that's fine, because I think future developments in the series is also probably gonna reflect some of the inspiration I take home from Manhattan. So that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, for now, I think I'm gonna expand on this pathway just a bit to make sort of a shape of some sort. And then I was kind of having the idea of creating sort of a sculpture out here on a separate platform, so a lower tier of keys that you can enter. But we'll see. I'll try to get something like that going. First though, I'm just gonna expand the walkways. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. The idea is to, let's see if we'll just have to sort of make it on land first, and then adjust it afterwards. And it's gonna be a little tricky, but we'll try. Gonna remove the offset, or put the offset to 0 meters to get like a sharp edge, and then we'll see if we can fix this segment over here. But the plan was sort of to do something like this. We'll just delete this part. Okay, so this is not perfect, but I'm just gonna test out the concept now and see if it works. So I'll just be copying this segment of keys where we've got these stairs, and then upgrading them over here, and see if it spawns the keys I'd like. I am hopefully able to upgrade smaller segments than this. No? That's interesting, because I did actually add nodes. Ah, yikes! I added nodes to the walkway, not the actual keys. Now I just realized I don't really have any cool statues or sculptures, so I think we're just gonna go with this bad boy from Manila, I think. And we're just gonna place him out here, and I assume this guy was super important in some kind of city or region-wide politics, maybe, or the establishment of the region. Who knows? But yeah, we're gonna go with him. He's our best bet for now. We're just gonna adjust him a bit. There you go. Something like that, and then I'm hoping I can actually add like some trees or something out here. I think that would be pretty cool to have some big trees. I'm sort of eyeballing all the measurements here, so if you're a person with a super keen eye for distances, then I'd like to apologize in advance. I'm sure there are some issues with the eyeballing here, but for me it's fine. Alright, so as you guys can see, I end up changing it up a bit by trying to use these additional planters I put down to sort of dictate where the keys are actually running. So that, of course, has required me to sort of adjust them so that it's better aligned on both sides. And I think the look overall is actually also just a bit better, more symmetrical. Alright, so this waterfront park here in Port Douglas certainly turned out more wild than I had planned for. My initial idea was that it would be like a really, pre-planned, well laid out garden with, planters at very strict angles like here, so that it's really well tended to. But then I guess spontaneously I thought it would be a bit more unique if this park was known for just absolute wilderness. So we've got lots of bushes here, making it a really quite wild, almost overgrown place. And then I love these massive trees lining here as well. We've got restrooms over here, and we've got a small cafe here with a zoo sign, which isn't great, but I guess if you're opening a hipster cafe in a hipster city, why not call it zoo, right? It doesn't have to make sense. That's the hip part of it. For the restrooms though, yeah, I'm a little more unsure about that, but for now I think these buildings will work quite all right. And I think that the kind of symmetrical alignment that I tried to achieve here has worked out sort of okay. There are probably some angles that are a little off, since I just kind of had to eyeball it. But I think it worked all right. I think to wrap up this episode, I'd like to get some building done too. So if we move over here, this is out of Brickville. I've already sort of built this block up off camera, and I think I'm just gonna continue working a bit in this area before we wrap up the episode. And now I'm adding a bunch of trees here. Something that I really found quite nice about Manhattan is the fact that there are just a ton of these big old trees lining at least some of the cutest streets. And while this is a pretty rundown neighborhood, I still think that when this was built initially, it was actually quite a nice place, and they would have had lots of street side trees. So we're going with that here as well. Now these planters, they represent like a more recent beautification effort by the city council of trying to like beautify some of these less desirable areas in an attempt to make them look better, and kind of spend some public money and trying to kickstart gentrification in this area, because as we've established in earlier episodes, inner Brickville is actually quite gentrified. I'll show you guys in just a second. And the idea, of course, is that there's quite a let's see. So there's quite a contrast from this area we've just built now, which I think is actually turning out super nice. And then if we just move a couple of blocks into here, which is inner Brickville, so we'll see some more recent developments here. Generally, some prettier streets. It's hard to showcase buildings that are better maintained, But I hope this area looks a little bit more desirable. We've got some row houses here that were obviously a little more upscale when they were initially built. And as we move beyond the park here in the center and we cross this park, then the whole thing should become a little more gritty. This is represented by the use of more industrial units mixed in. We'll have, like, this is basically a factory and a warehouse here. We've got, a few empty lots. So there used to be a row house here, which is, it's obviously gone now. And some more industry and some more public housing, like this complex that I added here. Added a little back road and a shed and some garages, and I think it turned out all right. And I think this sort of caps out this episode. It turned into a bit of a mixed one, and I hoped that it was coherent enough to still be enjoyable. It's always a bit tricky to wait more than a week and a half, almost 2 weeks between the beginning of your recording session of an episode and then finishing up more than a week and a week and a half after it. It's always a bit of a disconnect there, and that's kind of what happened in this episode, where I'd sort of hoped I could make a small episode about this waterfront before I went to New York, and that wasn't really feasible, so I had to record the rest afterwards. Now, if you guys recall, we did have a vote for this area early on, and you guys voted in favor of building something tall, so we're gonna get that going in due time. And then I've also made a post on my community page asking for feedback and suggestions regarding the start of an additional series to run alongside Coniferia, something which I'm still thinking about. And I must say, going to New York, I think I'll elaborate a lot more about my experiences with Manhattan primarily in another video entirely, but I'll just say that it did inspire me quite a bit. So I am thinking that the next project, the next series to run alongside Coniferia will have sort of an American-based theme, and it will have maybe a mixture of all densities, so that we can maybe even get a slice of Manhattan in there. But yeah, I'm still thinking about that one. So keep suggestions and feedback coming, and I'll make sure to read it. But yeah, that kind of sums up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, if you've stuck with me this long. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.